Periscope and live on TradingView. Let's do this. Oh. And now, introducing to you the full team from DeltaFi. Yeah, we made it. Welcome back, guys. DeltaFi full panel this week on July 14th. Midway through the first month of a slow, shitty summer. We got Dan looking ghostly over there.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Why are you translucent?
Whoa.
Yeah, sorry guys, Dan longed the top and now he's a shell of his former self.
Yeah, you've got a lot of sunshine flowing into your room. I think that's probably behind your green screen. But you know what?
I like the room. You looked like you had this Venice Beach glow.
I like the effect, and now we've got context, so we're gonna roll with it.
Right.
Do a little work here. Hang on.
I spent the day. Well, okay. First of all, I got the second dose of the vax yesterday, so I was laid out. I watched Tomorrow War though, and I agree, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty cool. So that was my day yesterday. I did get the newsletter out today. You guys usually get that on Tuesdays. Check it out at herolabs.io. You can find my thoughts in there. I'll go over them today with the fellas. I just want to let you know, guys, that there is a reason that Crypto Messiah and I are on opposite sides of the panel right now, because I am still a bull and he is a euphoric bear. So just full disclosure, give you guys a heads up. We've got a euphoric bear on the panel today, and I'm gonna, we gotta let him say his piece. He's probably onto something. He's been making some really nice trades.
I don't know if I'm euphoric yet. Here, let me just address some of the misconceptions. And a bullish timeline, because I'm in hard to perma bull. I've made all of my money in bull markets, and I've been through several bull markets. Okay, and like a bull market is more fun, because it's most people I feel like are perma bulls at heart. We want to hop in, we want to go to the moon, we want to see the prices go up. Like it's just who we are. It's way more fun, right? You're doing it with your buddies, and your buddies are making money, and they're passing you a hot tip, and that hot ball of money is just bouncing around everywhere. There's really no other feeling like it in the world. Okay, so now you get to a bear market, and you get these people that are saying, it's very difficult to be bearish here because my whole feed is bearish. Well, that doesn't mean everybody's bearish. Just in a bear market, the bulls shut the fuck up, And the thing is that most people are permabulls, right? So it does seem like your entire feed is bearish if there's three guys bear posting and saying that we're going lower and blah, 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 because there's 100 fucking dudes that still think we're going up that just aren't fucking saying anything because it's embarrassing and they're wrong.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking that yesterday. You tend to speak up and post your thoughts when you feel confident about it, and that's like in this range, it's killer. It's like bills, and it's not that people are flipping bullish bearish. I agree. It's a lot of this, like you hear from
you do
the
have
latest hourly candle.
This desire to be that trading god who
Yeah.
He was right when the market went down. He's right when the market goes up. And I feel like that's where a lot of this social media shit, can really get in there and fuck with your psyche. You make the most money by having a directional bias and being correct about it. And that's the thing, in a bull market, think about anybody that said anything bearish, right? Oh, you're a fucking idiot, right? We're obviously going up here, buy the fucking dip. You're a fucking moron. Why the fuck would you ever be bearish?
I experienced that thought last week in shorting.
Here's the thing,
AXS.
in a bear market, okay, here's the flip side of it. In a bear market, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why the fuck would you ever be bearish? That's the thing is there are actually very few people that have a correct directional bias here. And is the market ranging? Yes. If you look at Bitcoin, I saw a really interesting perspective. As much as I'd like to claim this perspective as my own, if you look at the price action, ever since the Giga Nuke, right? Ever since we blew off, it's a really, really, really strong descending channel. Okay. I mean, the channel is undeniable. Now we do have a little fake out of that channel. Guess when that fake out happened? When we knew that Michael Saylor was coming in to buy $500 million more of Bitcoin. And that was front run. We broke out of the channel. But if you remove that event from history and you just look at it without that event, it's literally, the price action looks exactly like this. And it's actually very easy to trade. You know, it's got a very obvious, very obvious bearish directional bias. This channel has survived 5, 6, 7 taps, you know, on both sides. So that's ironclad. All you have to do is short the top of the channel, take profit when you start feeling euphoric, you know, when it makes you happy. For me, my rule is, hey, I'm really happy with the profit. Maybe my target isn't hit, but it does look like momentum's waned a little bit. I'm looking at the order flow. It does look like buyers are stepping in here. I'm just going to close out of the position and be happy with it and not say, you know, the next day, like, imagine yesterday, I had a really nice short from 2030. I closed it out in the low 1900s. And guess what? The price went a little bit lower. But at the same time, guess where we are today? Right back at 2000. What if I hadn't just said, you know, fuck, I'm kind of happy with this. I see bulls are starting to step in. I don't know if they're going to win or not. And now that nice profit just didn't fucking exist. That's the thing about this market is right now, like nobody really knows where we're going in the sense that, are we going to squeeze up to 2,600 or are we going to nuke down to 800? Like nobody fucking knows. And I feel like trying to incorporate all of these, you know, what ifs and conspiracy theories into your trading is a disservice to yourself, because the only thing that really matters is the chart in front of you. And what we're looking at is a very clear bearish bias. We've got these descending channels, you know, we've got lower highs continuously. And eventually, you know what? We are going to break out. We are going to pick a direction. The thing is you have to be flexible. You know, if we break to the upside, God knows, like I love being bullish. I will be the first to say, fuck, I'm aping in all this fucking shit. I don't care that all you guys are still bearish. We broke out of the channel. I think this is the real deal. I'm going to give it a shot.
Where do you jump back in if we get an impulse move?
It's actually very simple, you know, and I do feel like that decision is among us right now. I think Bitcoin's going to lead the way. I think Bitcoin's going to lead the charge out of whatever the fuck this is right here. And I like that because Bitcoin does have the most clearly defined structure. You know, you're looking at this descending channel. If we break that channel out and we retest it, boom, I'm fucking going all in. I'm smashing. I'm getting long as fucking balls. But at that same token, as long as we remain in the channel, I'm going to continue to operate as I have. People are.
So you're playing this on the diagonals now, not the range. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. Playing it on the diagonals, but you know, like when I decide to short, some things that are very important to me are volume weighted average price and how many standard deviations away from that we are. And I use a yearly anchor on that, and I also use a quarterly anchor. I think if you applied those to your charts, you'd be absolutely shocked at how well that's mapped out the levels. You know, both for the yearly and the quarterly. You know, another really interesting thing, I've been using this for a long time, is VPVR. You know, I look at the volume profiles. I want to look for areas of, you know, supply and demand. The third component to that is order flow. You know, I want to see what people are doing around those levels. And if we get to that level and like we have heavy absorption, like there's like really aggressive buying activity, but the price is going fucking nowhere. Well, guess what? I'm going to fade that. You know, it's for me, in a downtrend, when we have aggressive buying at, you know, multiple points of confluence, like you just have to fade it. And you know what? It's worked out really, 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 really well. The thing is, and I said this in the last stream and the stream before, you know, I've seen this fucking movie before. This is the remake. Okay. Maybe the first ending of the first movie sucked and like, we're not going to do that again. But most of the times the remakes kind of follow the same plot, right? And we had a fucking bubble pop. I don't like it any more than you guys do, but it is what it is. And the thing is, like I said, in 2018, we had the bubble pop, and I was that guy, oh no, crypto is mainstream now. It's a new paradigm. And every fucking time we got to that amazing support level that I had been so conditioned to buy, I bought and I got fucking smoked, okay? Like, I'm not going to be that guy doing that again, because here's the thing. Okay, Ethereum goes to 1600. Ooh, yeah, that's the spot. That's the right level, right? I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna buy all these bags, and this is gonna be fucking amazing. And look, at 1600, I'm almost 100% sure that we're going to have some sort of reaction to the upside. And maybe I do, get long a bit at 1600. But the idea here is the same thing on the short side. We go up to that resistance and I just take profit. I'm back in cash. And guess what? If we bust up and things change, I can get back in. It's just as simple as that. But I'm not going to be the fucking guy that says, yo, yeah, 1600, this is juicy. Ave's at $150. This is the best value in the world. I'm not going to be the fucking guy that buys what fucking ever at Ethereum 1600, watches Ethereum, rally mega hard back to 19, back to 2K, gets my dick out, jacks off, tells my wife, hey, babe, look at our portfolio. I know I haven't showed it to you in 3 months, but look how much money.
We're back.
Great. We're back. Go shopping for houses again, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to be that fucking guy. Like, I'm just fucking not. Because the thing is the second those guys get fucking excited again, guess what? We come by and we nuke it to 800, and they're sitting there with their dicks in their hands going, oh, man, I should have blown my wad right there. Like, there was so much better opportunity coming for me.
I'm sorry. I tried.
Daniel, I appreciate everything you're saying. I think you've had tremendous experience in the market. We don't know what's going to happen and what probabilities it is, but I'm sensing you've been hurt in the past. This is
here's the thing, Rob. When you're a child and you go grab that hot iron pan on the stove, you just say, fuck, that hurt, right? You're not going to do it again, right?
I know.
Pain is the biggest teacher, in our lives, period. And have I been hurt in the past?
Hold up.
Yes,
1 second.
But because I was hurt, I'm not going to get hurt again.
We got an audio echo. That's the same thing. It's capturing system, but I fixed it, and now it's suddenly decided it's going to show us a different Chrome screen.
Fixed, I think.
There we go. Yeah, we're fixed.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
All right. Yeah, no, Daniel, it's very clear. You've got these are symptoms of, a type of PTSD. I'm not saying you're like full blown, but you definitely are exhibiting symptoms, and it's very real. I mean, this thing, I'm of the mind that, yes, is it possible that we go lower and break lower? Absolutely. I kind of think that will be a buying opportunity and like somewhat of a spring the first time, because I do believe that there is demand for this stuff. And I do believe that the actual thesis is only really improved. Sure. And I think the big picture value proposition and overall like thesis to be long as balls is only stronger. So technically, like, could it break down? It looks like shit. Absolutely. Can it, I love how you think in purely Ethereum terms, talking about 1600, 800. And I think more in Bitcoin terms, but
I think Ethereum is more a driver, just in terms of what I specialize in, which is altcoins. And that's why I really think in Ethereum terms. But even then, when we're looking at Ethereum, I think that the price action, the directional movements of Ethereum and Bitcoin right now are highly correlated. One thing that I'm not extremely bearish on, I'm bearish, but not extremely bearish on, is that Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. I do think Ethereum has made undeniable progress against Bitcoin. And I do think because of that, there will be some kind of higher floor. It is really interesting because in the past, in these market conditions, man, Ethereum would be getting a new asshole torn versus Bitcoin right now. It just would.
Yeah. I think it's one thing that is abundantly clear is there's actually users of applications right now and products on the blockchain. And I think we're seeing it with Axies right now. The fact it's making real money, like real money, and that token is getting real fucking money flow, period. Like it's really simple. And so the networks, the applications, the protocols that are actually getting used, I think there are gems out there that are going to get repriced and have real value. And it's it doesn't necessarily, not everything needs to get wrecked if we pull back. Now, I think 99% of stuff will get wrecked. Like it's a small number. There's only one Axie's in the market right now that literally is fucking making highs and ripping and running in the face of selling pressure. But it just shows you create network activity, network value follows, period.
Yeah, and let's talk about Axies real quick. Any of you guys follow me on Twitter, I shorted it last week, which, as it turns out, and this is a little disappointing, but we were talking about it pre-stream, did actually manage to snipe the level. And I felt really good about myself. I went to bed on Saturday night. I had this low came in here. I was like, yeah, I'm in a short hedge now against the market. And then I tagged Ledger Status out of boredom. I was like, yeah, I'm having fun shorting Axis up against the highs. And he went and tagged Luke Bogdanoff Martin, who within half an hour of tweeting with me back and forth about how bullish he was on it, fucking thing broke out, started pumping. I'm like, well, there goes my short. So in retrospect, I could have closed a little early and hedged it and then reshorted, whatever. Could have scalped the shit out of this fib pong, as you guys know I like to do, but I was trying to play the midterm down to here, so whatever. Axies is ripping. I took a 0.5% hit on my account that day. Womp womp. No big deal. I'm not shorting it. I'm not even out to short it. It was just, chaos. PRZ, fib. Now look, the next chaos PRZ is up at $26. So I would expect to see a reaction there. I have no interest in shorting this in general after listening to Luke's podcast, which we'll give a little plug today because his episode, I think it was 2 days ago now, he interviewed the guy from Delphi, I guess one of the co-founders. Very interesting. So if you guys are really keen to learn more about this, check it out. Why is it going so fast, so up? There's a certain amount of circulating supply, and to play the game, you basically need to, burn AXS or send it to their treasury, and that treasury is basically just being held right now. They're not giving it out, using it for anything. So the supply is just going, and there's the users, weekly users is parabolic. It's gone up to something like 500,000. So if you're wondering why is this such an outlier, check out that podcast. I thought that was interesting. I listened to it 12 hours after my short got busted, and after hearing it, I was like, oh well, I shouldn't have been in a 10-day short, scalping it, sure, playing my levels. So the timing was unfortunate, but I really liked the podcast. If you want to hear about it, check that out. It looks poised for 26, and that's short term. I mean, that's only $2 away now, but that's sort of what it looked like even after this retest at 19. So other than Axies, which is unfortunate too, because I heard about that one a year ago or whenever. The charts don't go back too far, but I swear there was some guy in a Discord telling me about it a while ago.
I just remember Dan and I were talking to what's his name from Delphi, and he was shilling us the shit hard.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. Tom was shilling us the shit super hard.
Yeah,
that wasn't even too long ago. And
there's been, kind of that him and Arca, Jeff Dorman.
Yeah,
big fan of it. But it's really, there are also guys that think about some of these things in the context of how this asset actually plays in the ecosystem, as Rob was alluding to, and you're now getting into this phase that I think we've talked about at some point, of how tokens and ecosystems that actually help drive mechanics of the ecosystem, those are proven to be valuable, and this is one good example of it.
It is really interesting to see, this not just NFT narrative, but the metaverse narrative has a very, very strong proven scalability, product market fit, maybe even more so than DeFi, which for me has been very, very surprising.
Give me that pronunciation. Is that an Alabama thing, or is that
what pronunciation on what?
Metaverse?
Yeah.
Metaverse? I caught that too, yeah.
Metaverse.
Yeah, I think he just misspoke. I heard that too. I was like, wait a sec, did he just say metaverse?
Meta? What are you, Daniel?
Metaverse? I don't know. Did I say something else? If I did.
It was a metaverse, but I didn't know if you knew something I didn't. I know you're in that. You're on that level.
Well, you know what stings, Rob, is we were bullish on this concept of play to earn last summer when we were buying up Ethverse.
I know.
Ethverse, and it was great. It was like, yeah, like we're gonna grab the Minecraft crowd and we're gonna pay them to mine blocks and do all those things. Like it's a very cool concept. It's obvious, right? Especially when you're talking about parts of the world where $10 a day.
It's not like Merkle Tree or something.
It's gone. Yeah, they
network.
In a nutshell, they basically couldn't get through the playing terms or whatever, like the terms of service for Minecraft. We're just never going to let them launch. And so
what's kind of funny is Axie Infinity kind of fits this bill. These play to earn things. If you remember back in the day, Rayblox was captcha mined. This shit was pretty much supporting like the entire economy of fucking Venezuela, right? Like it was insanity. And Axie Infinity is kind of the same, from my understanding. Like you've got some of these guys that would make, $5 a week farming rice.
Apparently $10 a day.
This is how what World of Warcraft was, right?
Support their entire fucking village here.
$10 a day
farming
is no
but Rayblox went fucking batshit crazy. It later became Nano. It was one of the craziest pumps of 2017. And now we're looking at AXS, which, totally like counter to, the trend of the general market is just going fucking apeshit right here. And even you, who like know all about like following rules, setups, like you can't really short it. It's just going up and it's going up aggressively. And you look at the funding on this shit and people keep trying to short it,
the funding is a mystery to me. Yeah.
Why the fuck weren't we balls long it like Jeff Dorman and like fucking Tom Shaughnessy and those fuckers? Well,
I'll tell you what, I did notice the funding was heavily negative, and I thought, okay, interesting, people are loading shorts. I mean, for me, it was purely not fundamental. That's the sad thing for me, is that like people talk about fundamentals all the time, right? You want to short anything, some guy's going to slide into your replies and he's going to say, oh, but what about this and all this? And it's like, there's always that. So I literally brushed it off the first 2 days when somebody did that. And then, Luke Martin got on there and he said, oh, I'm interviewing this guy. This is really bullish. You should check it out. And when I listened to it, and I was like, oh, like there's a treasury and all the coins are going to end up in there and people are, and then you get the users and the revenue. So there's a parabolic move of users. And then once I read that, I was like, oh, like, again, my short entry, like, I don't mind it. I'll take that one pretty much every time when you get these crazy chaos levels. But then close it, close it at the first 382, which was right here. And it actually came in beautifully. And I looked at it as it came in. I said, I could close some here. I was like 5 figures P&L. I was like, yeah, I could close that, maybe look to reshort, which also came in beautifully. So looking back, yeah, trade, scalp. But when you have a fundamental driver like this and you're on the wrong side of funding, it's not the best play. So but I got out with a reduced stop. Like it really was not that big a deal, but I'm going to hear about it for months now. Like, you were that guy shorting the biggest move of the year.
I'll kill your family.
Yeah. Okay, God. That's when I delete.
Definitely getting one of those tweets at some point.
I might.
It's a fundamental. You got to look to the guys who really dig into the fundamentals and know how to speak some gems. And Jeff Dorman is one of them, and so is Shaughnessy. Like, I'd look for another short setup, but I'm just kicking myself that like I wasn't balls long this thing. This thing is what 5, 10, 15x in no time, while everything else has come out of a bubble, out of what Daniel calls a bubble.
600% since tagging.
Come on.
Yeah, well, look, the sweet spot came in, right? So it went up like everything else. It came down like everything else. Sweet spot came in. And this is also why we talk about not trying to know what's going to happen and just having rules like, hey, I'm going to buy that 786 when it comes in because I'm bullish in this. I did trade it through here. I was buying some, longing it, NFTs, whatever. It was running like with, what do they call, mana, sand. When they all ran, they ran hard. But I didn't load it back up. And I didn't think, I didn't. And this is actually, I wrote in the newsletter today, it was a wake-up call for me to start reconnecting with the fundamental analysis a bit more, because we are getting into a more mature market where there will be some outliers, and the real outliers can be spotted in things like users, growth, week over week.
True, to a certain extent.
To some extent.
I'll counter that with, like Token Terminal is a fantastic website. If you guys have ever used that,
I have. I got it from you. Yeah.
If you haven't used Token Terminal, for the people listening, go check it out. They've got protocol revenues and you can track growth. And I mean, I love it. I'm a big fundamental guy. You guys know that. what people fail to understand about a lot of these DeFi protocols, and I actually, Jeff Dorman, okay, or it was somebody like that. It may have been Jeff, it may have been somebody else, retweeted something yesterday from this guy at macro_guy. And this guy says the top Ethereum DeFi protocols are generating an average of $618 million in annualized revenue and trading at an average multiple of 13x. And he says, I think if Wall Street, A, had access, and B, the same deep level of understanding as they do equities, the average multiple would be north of 50x. Now, here's my counter to that point. And this is something I've discussed before, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people realize, because a lot of people just want to wear the rose-colored glasses and they want to look at this and say, oh my God, look at these PS ratios. They're so fucking good. But what people don't realize is that even some of the things with the best PS ratios are actually negative revenue when you consider and you take into account the inflation that's taking place in order to incentivize the acquisition of this revenue. Sushi is actually a negative revenue protocol, and it's widely talked about as VCs as, oh, it's one of the lowest PS ratio. It's such amazing value. It's so cheap. You've got to buy it. People just don't realize, they don't understand it here yet. But at the end of the day, if you're issuing more token value than you're bringing in as revenue, you are negative revenue. And things like Token Terminal do not take that into account. So it's an important thing to remember. Keeper DAO, which is wrecked as fuck, just like everything else, is actually one of the few protocols that is positive revenue, even with token emissions. But even then, when I look at Keeper DAO and I say, oh, it's bringing in, X amount of revenue per week. At the same time, like when you actually subtract out the token emissions and things like that, the value that's being lost, to acquire this revenue, it's not nearly what you would be led to believe. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind. When you look at stocks, right, and you look at actual companies and they have revenue and they have PS ratios and things like this, it's much easier to value them on a relative basis across sectors, against other stocks. Because if I look at Microsoft and it's got an amazing PS ratio, Microsoft isn't giving out a fuck ton of Microsoft shares in order to bring revenue in. They just are bringing revenue in.
Yeah, they're paying US dollars to buy it.
But it doesn't affect the share price. How about that? I'm not issuing shares to become profitable. And maybe we're going to see a paradigm shift. Maybe this is a really interesting way to incentivize user activity. I mean, can you imagine if there was a new video game that came out that was really fucking baller and it said like, hey, you can play this video game, and when you buy things and when you do things in this video game that are, accrue value to our company, like we're going to make you an owner of the company. We're going to give you shares. I think that there's some really interesting game theory around those kinds of things. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you say, these protocols have users. They do. I think that the most obvious product market fit and the proven verticals here are borrowing, lending, and liquidity provision. So we're talking about AMMs, Uniswap, things like that. Some derivatives protocols have begun to, get a bit of traction. I use DYDX frequently when I trade. Perpetual protocol has even more traction than DYDX. But what was that about? Just smoker's lung. Yeah. The point is that while these metrics are fantastic, I think that these metrics are to be taken with a grain of salt. And these metrics become more valuable in a bull market because when there's a narrative to show, all of that goes out the window and it doesn't fucking matter. And people are just going to be looking for the most monster, PS ratio, best value, whatever, without considering the fact that, actually it's not as great a value as it's, been painted. It just
I don't trade off of this yet, but I think, again, my trade journal after that trade, I looked at it, I was like, okay, I'm going to start, maybe even as I'm setting up for a trade, just take a look if there's information available about things like revenue. Obviously, Axies was like front page already. And so I just looked at it, I said, okay, like the market's not particularly bearish or bullish. Why is this thing standing out? Ooh, look, there's a chaos level. I'll short it. But then you look here and you say, okay, protocol revenue is sky high. I mean, at least across what's being tracked here. You click over to PS ratio, it's way down at like the bottom 4. So I could see that there's some convergence potential there, and that's probably why it's a very easy long right now, especially in this kind of market where like the gittins are slim. But I'm curious who's short on it. I mean, like I was in and out in about 3 days, but that funding has been negative 0.33 and down to 0.08. Like there are large short positions outweighing all these longs, and they're not squeezing. I mean, some of them are probably
are the shorts, are these guys delta neutral? Are they hedging? Like, there's a lot of big VC players in Axie Infinity, so it certainly fit the bill that, hey, this shit is on the fucking moon. We're happy with our profits. We don't want to sell. Let's lock this shit in and be happy with it.
It's a high price to lock it in, especially when you look at those fundamentals and you've got the whatever his name was from Delphi talking about how they were seeding it, and I just think it'd be a weird time to like sit in a very expensive hedge, but that's just me. I mean, it just seems expensive. I mean, I was paying even for my position like 300, 100 every 8 hours. That'll add up if you got a massive position, right? So
they're hedging it because they're also looking at the rest of the market. If they really felt okay about the rest of their bags, then they'd look at that hourly funding they're paying and they'd
shit, you're right. Bitcoin breaks down, Ethereum breaks down. It doesn't matter if you're Axie Infinity or whatever. I mean, everything's getting raked, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, and that's actually why I didn't end up scalping it up the way I look back at it. I should have done that, and that's because I thought, hey, if Bitcoin really does shit out here, I'm balls long on everything else. I don't have any other short exposure. Now I look at it, I'm saying like 26 is basically pre-programmed with this 877 chaos. I mean, once you resolve 4669, I look up here. But if you zoom out and you capture this whole consolidation and give it a nice, spit out a nice chaos level, that's at $40, which is actually a number I kept seeing come up in replies on Twitter. I don't know if that has some fundamental number that people think is 40 is a thing, but I'll be keeping an eye on this. I don't have many trades. Like I don't really have anything I can do to it now unless you wanted to scalp. As you can see, it's been respecting levels really nicely. And this is the thing. If I'm gonna get in day trade stuff, I want things that are volatile and I want things that are liquid and they're moving. And this fits the bill for that. So I have been keeping an eye on it this week. And you can see like SR flip after SR flip and another one today, SR flip. So really nice stuff. I guess 2350 is like the latest, but it's a little bit late in this particular leg for me to want to get too sizey, unless I'm on the 15-minute and I'm just jumping in. But shout out to anyone who was buying up through this reload zone, saw that coming before the user explosion, because that's what it's all about, having conviction when everyone else is shitting their pants and leaving. So I really like that, and the play to earn is something that, like I said, Rob, we've been bullish on since last year. This idea that somebody in a country where $10 a day is a lot of money could get paid to play a video game. I was hoping it was Ethverse. It was not. They pivoted. They moved on. They got kicked out by the people who own Minecraft. But there's going to be copycats, and that's kind of what I talked about in the newsletter today. So for any of you who are perhaps sitting here going, "Oh, I wish I was in on this," you can be in on this concept, because if it is profitable, if they are making what they say they're making, those revenues, the users, and then of course the token's doing this well, I guarantee you there's like 10 or 20 of these in development right now. People saying we got to make the next cool one. It's just going to be a matter of can they get the users.
While they do have this massive, reported revenue figures, like, is that revenue in dollars? Is that revenue in their own fucking token? Like what?
Yeah, it's in. I mean, you gotta go check out the Luke Martin podcast. If you can't do it better, just pass it off. Let him explain it, and the guy from Delphi explain it. But basically, you have to pay 4 AXS tokens to breed your creatures, your characters, your Pokemons. And so that 4 gets sent to the treasury, and apparently that treasury will eventually be paid out to stakers and holders as sort of like a fee distribution. But it's not right now. Right now, the treasury is holding on to it, and that's this whole like supply shock, or perhaps. Yeah, supply shock.
Something interesting, that I'm looking at with a similar value proposition is Lido. That's Cobain's and Banteg, and there's some other guys involved. But there's been a lot of VC interest in that. I know they've been scooping that shit up OTC big time. And one of the interesting things about that Lido token is it's just a fucking literally valueless, worthless as fuck. Like it shit is vapor. It can't fucking do anything.
Lido?
But now, yeah, the token.
Yeah, it's like
itself.
the number. Oh, okay, yeah.
But you're buying it because they are the largest custodial provider for Ethereum 2 staking services, hands down, out of anybody. And you would buy Lido with the hope one day that the Treasury would vote in some kind of admin fee, or the governance would vote in some kind of admin fee. And then all of a sudden you have this massive revenue stream from, 6 figures of Ethereum staking that's accruing value to this Lido token. And that's why these VCs, are coming in and just buying this shit left and right. They're buying controlling stakes because they know that they will vote this in one day, and it will be profitable. Now, I don't want it here. I'd love to get it at a much better valuation. But still, it's just something to think about, is even when Ethereum 2 launches, there are there is a barrier to entry to running your own node, to running your own, and staking on your own, to having your own validator, whatever the fuck it's called. And a lot of people will want to chase that yield. It's yield in Ethereum. You're an Ethereum believer. These custodial, even decentralized or centralized staking solutions, I think are going to be a big deal.
I agree.
Forward. Yeah. So something.
There's a lot.
If you look at that Lido token, dude, it's very low market cap considering that, assets under management wise, the figure is significant. Look at that. I mean, 2 billion. And we're looking at what's the market cap of this show?
1.2 billion.
So CoinGecko,
according to CoinGecko, which there's
a lot. The fully diluted valuation of this shit is retarded, but the market cap is $44 million right now, and that's the circulating supply. You do have to be concerned about things like that. But another thing that fits this bill that I'm very, very interested in acquiring at lower prices is Convex. You got Convex is basically a gateway to Curve. One of the biggest issues with Curve is to get the most yield out of Curve, you have to have a position in Curve, and you have to have that position locked up. So Convex is almost like YFI for Curve. You've got an enormous amount of Curve locked on the platform natively, and then I can just come in with my dollars and get the best yield on Curve or my Uni or whatever the fuck it is without having to own that Curve token itself. So with Convex, you've got something that's a $20 million cap, right? That's accruing 5% of the protocol revenue to that Convex token, with $4 billion in deposited assets. And that figure is growing. There's some level or degree of divergence there, because you're earning that 5% you're earning is yield on people's dollars and stuff like that. Like, I think the Convex token is yielding like maybe 50 or 60% APR right now. But the thing is it's not yielding that in Convex tokens. That's the yield from $4 billion in assets under management. That's 5% of it. So I'd love to be able to scoop some Convex.
So what's it getting paid in?
$2. It's getting paid in Convex Curve. The yield is mainly in the form they receive it is in dollars. So here's been one of the biggest issues about locking Curve. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with VE Curve, but when I lock Curve, I go to the Curve platform and I lock it, and I get a token that represents my locked Curve. Okay. Here's the problem: is that token isn't liquid, right? To make that token highly liquid, you'd have to incentivize it. So when I go and lock my Convex or lock my Curve on Convex Finance, I get Convex Curve. Now, Convex Curve isn't Curve, okay, but it's very liquid versus Curve. They've incentivized liquidity of the Curve and Convex tokens, okay? But here's the issue then. How do we maintain a one-to-one peg between Convex Curve and Curve? Because when I come in, I deposit my Curve, I get CVX Curve, and now I say, fuck, Curve's going down, I want to get out, I'm going to sell my CVX Curve. That destabilizes that peg. We want to maintain that peg as close to one-to-one as possible. So by staking Convex, 5% of that protocol's revenues are actually driven towards not only giving me value, but also to stabilizing that peg between convex curve and ensuring that that peg stays as close to 1-to-1 as possible. It puts constant buying pressure on that, which further incentivizes, hey, I can come deposit my curve and take part in this platform, knowing that in the future, I can actually get that value back out. It's a brilliantly designed system. And even the emissions on the Convex token are brilliantly designed. The emissions aren't on some kind of schedule. The emissions are dependent on how much revenue the protocol generates. So the actual emissions are in line with protocol performance to some extent. And that performance is on a curve, but it's something unique. And to be honest, I mean, $4 billion in assets under management, and I know TVL isn't the end all be all here. There's a lot of other factors at play here, but there's a very clear mispricing, in my opinion, of the Convex token.
I'll be honest with you. I've been told about curve and these yields, and I've gone to the site and I've looked through it. There's farm after farm and all these things. I find it overwhelming and confusing, and I've just never had the time to sit down and dive into it, which is what I like to do before I slap some cash into something. But you've reignited my interest. There's even if you just look here for like curve, it's like curve DAO token, convex curve, VE curve DAO, Y vault. Like there's just so many moving parts. So what we need is a Shitcoin Church where you walk through a simplified, entry level access strategy. That's what I need.
We are kicking that back up this Thursday, actually. So I'm very excited about doing it. Even though, once again, am I very interested in buying Convex? And here's where the fundamentals can assist you right here. These fundamentals can help you identify which dips are going to be the best ones to buy. And I think I'd leave it at that. I don't think that I can look at something right now and say, hey, fundamentally, this is super undervalued, and that's reason in itself for me to buy it. In a bull market, that's valid logic. In our current market conditions, something is undervalued. So when it does come time to buy, because things can get more undervalued than they are right now, substantially. When it does come to buy, those are the things I'm going to be looking at. When we had this big bounce across DeFi across the board, when was this? 2-3 weeks ago. It was amazing, right? We saw some things really bounce hard, but even though I think most of them led to bearish retests, if you look at synthetics, if you look at Aave, it's very, very, very clear to me that those are bearish retests. It does show what the market has a demand for. It literally is the cheat codes for certain things that people are chomping at the bits to buy. And I've heard people say, DeFi is dead, because we're going to have this next rotation. These altcoins are going to come back. Guys, retail euphoria isn't the primary driver of DeFi like it is for shitcoins. It's just not, and we saw when retail euphoria arrived, what went up? Dog shit. You didn't have these TikTokers.
Dog tokens stole our bull market from us. I plan on writing a strongly worded letter.
The dog tokens, I don't think these guys would have ever come in and decided that I'm going to actually be interested in finance. We're talking about a literal wave of dumbasses who come in and drive things parabolic and buy tops and then never come back.
TikTok.
Literally TikTok. It's just full of fucking idiots. Okay. When we look at DeFi, we didn't get much of a reaction from them at all. I still strongly believe that the primary source of interest in DeFi is going to be smart money and institutions. Now, the good news here is that I do think that, in the coming 6 months, even if the market is a bear market and we continue to go down for 6 months, even if we continue to go down for the next year, I do think that things like DeFi will outperform shitcoins significantly because there is smart money and institutional interests on the sidelines waiting to buy. There's no institutions and smart money sitting around waiting to buy your fucking Dogecoin dump. There's just fucking not. You guys are holding that bag for a very, very long time. And it just is what it is. But DeFi is a different animal. And if you actually chart on TradingView, if you chart DeFi perp divided by shit perp, I think that there's a very clear indication of where the flows are starting to go. It does look like that trend is reversing because DeFi was outperformed by literal shitcoins. I mean, by a significant margin for a month. It made me fucking furious. You know, I didn't fucking understand it, but in retrospect, looking back, it makes so much fucking sense.
Whatever this shows, it looks like it's bottoming. So does up mean good for DeFi? I forget.
It means risk on for shitcoins and retail apes.
Okay, so this looks like it wants to bottom and reverse, which
overvalue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things that happened in the previous bull, like in the last few months, caught a lot of people off guard, right? A lot of people were sitting there, you know, bagged up with their favorite alts, and they were waiting for that parabolic blow off top, which they still might get, by the way. This, you know, the jury is out on this cycle, if you even believe in the cycles continuing the way they have. But, you know, on the back end, the night that I got like shivers was I was on a call as an advisory call where we usually talk business. There's a team of us, and the guy just said, look, I don't want to talk business right now. I want to trade these dog shit coins. And we went and looked at the deployer, and we were looking at Vitalik's wallet, and every 12 minutes or less, there was some new coin. You could click who deployed it. They had just deployed 10 others, and they would set them out for 12 minutes. They'd 50x, so they'd pull liquidity, and they were making 200K every 10 minutes. But it was like pure mania. Didn't matter who launched or what. They all shot up for a few minutes before they rugged them. And I was looking at it, I was like, hold on, guys. There is a mania going on in this market right now. It's just happening sort of behind closed doors. And that's the day that I sold, not all my shit, but I went and got serious about taking profits because I was like...
In retrospect, like Vitalik dumping was such an obvious signal.
2 days later, 2 days after that night I was just talking about, is when he pulled the liquidity on Shiba and some others. And I just thought, okay, and then I sold a little more.
That was
so
such
thank God,
a glaringly obvious get the fuck out sign. I totally ignored it.
The dog.
When it happened, I kept thinking to myself, and I remember, like, this is not a good look. You know, it doesn't matter how this narrative is painted, like, but Vitalik just dumped on retail.
He euthanized the dog mania. And you know what? I don't mind it. I don't think he like killed the whole market, but he certainly put a pin in that particular bit of dopamine. Dan, you're nodding. What's going on? I know sometimes you have to cut at the top of the hour. I don't want to not get some sound bites.
I'm just listening.
Today.
I'm listening.
How are you doing?
I'm sidelined. I'm all Hero Network these days, and we're just working on building, and that's about it.
Well, that's what I really wanted to ask you. When Hero Network? Well, I actually don't know. This isn't a setup, guys. I missed the call last week.
Next couple days, we have light paper for Theo protocol, which is the options protocol that's being built to the network, should be posted, and then we'll have more information on staking after that, and then more to come from there.
Beauty. I have a lot of people asking me about it, so I'm, now I have an update to tell them. And if you guys haven't yet, the light paper, the one we released recently, I think that's a good read. I'm just going to say, I sent a buddy to read it the other day. He's asking me all this shit. I said, just go read that. So I actually told him I'd link it, and I didn't. So maybe some.
Other than that,
DM
just I'm pretty. I have my long-term positions, as I said last time I was on, and I'm sitting in cash otherwise.
So
I think there's nothing to do here right now, and the market will let me know when it's time to get back in. And I've been through this I've been doing this for 25 years, and call me a fucking boomer, but I've been through many at rodeo, and I know the value of like sitting on your hands and maybe sometimes being a little late on things, but I also like it keeps me on the right side of the market, and I'm not I don't trade actively enough to actively short things outright in crypto, and it kind of, I guess from a principle standpoint, kind of goes against a lot of what I think we're doing here. And it's not to say that I wouldn't trade a long versus a short, or spreads or things like that as they become more prominent in the space. But there's obviously a lot of opportunities there around yield generation and whatnot. But I just don't think the time's right. And, I think back in June, I tweeted something I just put like summer doldrums is all I wrote. And I think, I don't think people really understood the reference of it. And, as Rob will tell you, like one thing that's always happened in traditional markets is during the summertime volumes become anemic, and you literally can feel the difference in the level of gambling relative to when markets are liquid and they're moving with purpose. And this somebody call me a boomer. Oh, like 3 people did. Sweet.
Excellent.
So yeah, and that's you know what? Call me a boomer. Fuck you. And I'd probably buy your house and turn it into a fucking parking lot. So
are you a boomer though? Technically speaking,
they managed to spot your age. But look, I've heard that from some of the best traders I know, which I include you and Rob in that, as well as Beamish over at TRI, and he says the same thing. Sell in May and walk away. It's not a mystery. We're human. We want to get outside. We want to spend time in the summer. We want to go to the Hamptons with our fancy Wall Street summer home. And why take risk? And so like you, I think there is a lot of cash sitting out there. There's movements in the market. There are active players, but that energy is gone. And is it gone because of a part of a cycle, or is this part of the cycle? You know what this feels like is July 2017. Somebody posted that on Twitter the other day. It's like, honestly, it really does. Like to the day. And I think that bottom came in on July 24th. And it was kind of like this. It was slow and meandering. And then it had one final puke. And then it just recovered, and Bcash fork went live, and Bitcoin wasn't going to die. And then we just kind of continued on. And I wouldn't be shocked. I said as much today in the newsletter, like I wouldn't be shocked if we puke either way. Like if we just rally here in the coming weeks and it's like, oh, that was the dip, oh my God, and it never goes back, I wouldn't be shocked. And if we just dump into 24K and all these late bears get rewarded, I wouldn't be too shocked either. So, I'd like to say I'm doing what you're doing, but I am staring at the charts enough that, I do feel the urge to trade.
One thing we should do, because it is a big event coming up, is this, the last hurrah of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust unlock.
Yeah, that's this Sunday.
And we can kind of show, not Sunday. I mean, what matters is really what, the business day, because when the stock market's open. But yeah. The open interest has come off the CME futures against, suspected unwinds of this trade. And I think that there are a lot of people hesitant, not knowing what is going to happen with the unlock, if it is real delta that's getting unleashed on the market that's going to be sold at 18% discount to fucking Bitcoin. But I think it's going to represent, and I'm leaning more bullish because I am more of a perma-bull here, long-term here. But the unlock could be a bullish unlock. I don't think it's going to do anything like extra to the market. And then after that thing's gone, you see when that started, you could pretty much see the market sell off in waves. And once that's done, I don't know.
Nothing left to hold us down. Sam Bankman-Fried alluded to the same, basically saying that a lot of that was arbitrage, and that in fact closing whatever it is, 60,000 Bitcoins or GBTC would mean buying spot Bitcoin to basically settle. So that it could actually end up being a boon for the buy side liquidity. Now, I haven't given my take yet on this chart. In a nutshell, I made up a fresh daily today just to get a nice look for the newsletter. And look, all the range aside, this is looking a bit like the setup that I look for in a long for a reversal to front run. I don't think it does anyone justice to sit here and talk about this as a downtrend. We know that. So if you're like Dan and you want to trade the bigger, broader trend and you're busy during the day and you just don't want to think about it, this is not the time to be thinking long. Like, why rush? Wait till Dan says he bought his Bitcoin back and then just copy trade him. But it's like you come in, you get this low, nice buy volume on the bounce back, confirm bullish market structure, and then trickle down into the reload zone. That's an entry. That's an entry that I like to take. It's an entry that works at tops and bottoms. And that's kind of what I see when I look at this daily. The fact that it's happening right around weekly support makes me a little more comfortable.
You know what else was right around weekly support though in 2018? When we continued to make lower highs and we continued to test that 6K floor, and eventually we broke that down, and that was the bottom. Now
that took 6 months. That took 6 months.
Right. But here's the silver lining here. We have seen, if anything that I've noticed, we've seen an acceleration of trends. This Bitcoin uptrend was much shorter time frame wise than anybody thought it would be. I think that the bear market will be shorter as well. If you look at that DeFi summer bubble when it pops, that bear market just didn't last very long.
I agree with that.
And here's the silver lining, okay? And honestly, in my opinion, the best thing we can do from here is to dump. And it's not because I want to be short and I'm super bearish or whatever, but here's scenario one. Let's say that we go up from here, right? Boom. Okay. We go up. We still have bag holders here. We still have a little bit of hope here. We pop up though. And guess what? Those guys have an opportunity to exit their bags at a higher price. And now we have an extended bear market. Now the interest has truly exited the market. We didn't get renewed interest on the pop up. We didn't get guys that came in and bought really fucking big at those lows. So we're just kind of in a situation where it's like, fuck, that was great. I'm really happy that, I was able to exit some of these bags higher. I was really happy for that opportunity to make a bit of money, but hey, the bear market's going to be going on a little bit longer. Or we can rip the fucking Band-Aid off. Maybe this is that 2018 scenario where we're about to drop down to 20K. And everybody freaks the fuck out and we get full Wojak and we start getting those people to say, oh, we're going to go down to 12K or, fucking whatever. Maybe that's what happens. And
12K would be the 80% retrace.
So, and that's the thing. And Bitcoin has always though, and this is the real kicker. Right. Bitcoin after every single blow off has gone negative 80% plus, right?
But it's also never, if you want to play that card, you got to consider that it's never retested all-time highs from cycle peaks, which tells me that your 88% or your 80% retrace can't come in until we hit 100K.
We didn't blow off the top, did we? No. I think this is like an interim cycle. It kind of.
I think the market's totally fucking different. Yeah, I think comparing it to anything else is fucking insane.
Right. It's just I think it's kind of volatility.
Faster, it's different. There's different players here.
Right. It's transitional. This is
What's next?
It's exactly. What's next? There is like big emergence of traditional finance coming here, like that we say every time we're on the show, of like capital that like one of these traders / investors / desks is the size of the entire market cap of all of crypto. So, like, that's what's
they're
next.
Here to play, and they're taking positions. In fact, we just got news today that another major fund managing $2 trillion has taken up a 12% stake in MicroStrategy. And I think the BlackRock news from August 2020, which when they went and became the second largest holder of MicroStrategy, that seems to be circulating today as breaking news. But in fact, that's old news, and I think people are just noticing it because they're looking at the cap table now for MicroStrategy, and they're like, wait a sec, BlackRock holds them too. And you're basically buying Bitcoin. I mean, Michael Saylor has made it easy to buy Bitcoin now. You just got to go buy his stock. He's the top holder at 25% of his stock. And then you've got Capital Group, COS, whatever that stands for, coming in at third slot, BlackRock 2. So I agree. I think it's a different market. I find it, cringy, I think, almost to make broad predictions now based on the N2 of the last two cycles. Because those were very low volume comparatively. And I think relative to some of the capital coming in now, we're still pretty low volume.
You haven't even seen it. It is such a massive, like, when you see the amount of capital that like exists in the bond markets or exists in FX relative to what is going on here. And like, it's not even comparable.
I mean, look at the 2017 bubble. Now, I don't really know how they calculate this volume for things like total market cap, but it's on here, and it's presumably calculated through exchange volumes or something, but you can't even see 2017 on here barely compared to what we got this year. And this is all relative, right? So when you zoom in here, like, it all gets a little bigger. So I'm curious, I'd like to see this lump right here in the next 3 years? How small does that get? Where do we go from there? Call me crazy, but I think
we're going higher over time. It's the bottom line. We can sit here and talk about whether this. I'm personally not in the camp that we're going to see an 80% retrace on this move, because I don't think we blew off and had it was definitely euphoric and parabolic, but it wasn't blow off insanity in this last high. I feel like it's interim part of a larger cycle.
Yeah,
and the cycle. So I don't think
it's so different.
The primary driver of this cycle either was retail. We had previous cycles, and I think when you look at the market structure of a retail-driven pump, you get these parabolas, and then you get a parabolic blow-off. You've seen that structure on Bitcoin. Every time until now, we saw this structure on when the shitcoins that retail is interested in, they go parabolic and then they blow off. Bitcoin didn't do that. Bitcoin is behaving very differently now. So the real question, for me is, what is this bottom going to end up looking like? I think it could be different than anything that we've ever seen. And of course, when you look at the logarithmic chart, it looks like, that's not too bad. Buyers are going to step in. But if you switch it to linear, it looks fucking retarded. It just does. I've never seen any market that looks that fucking ridiculously bad. Just all of a sudden decide that, hey, we're going to go up from here. And that's what's going to happen. But, thinking about moving forward, right? And just thinking about crypto, I think crypto has matured beyond, and we've already seen a little bit of this, just having these big boom and bust cycles that are pretty much driven mainly by Bitcoin price action, right? I do think that, let's say Bitcoin, the bottom is in right now, or even let's say Bitcoin makes bottom at 20K, right? We're looking at reduced volatility on Bitcoin as an asset, which I think makes it even more so attractive to these guys that want to come in and buy large stacks of it. But it also provides the opportunity, without having these big boom and busts, for us to have sector growth in crypto. We could have DeFi have another season and be really, really good there. And then even within DeFi, you could have lending markets are really on fire now in DeFi, and then AMMs are really on fire in DeFi, and all of these different opportunities. Trust me, I'm not thinking if I had 100K right now and I didn't know jack shit about any kind of markets, or didn't have any of the biases or any of the fear or euphoria or experience, and I bought Bitcoin at $30,000. I would imagine that at some point in the next 5 years that I will be in profit, probably at a multiple of my entry right here. So once again, timing the bottom is kind of a fool's errand, because the top didn't look exactly like anything we've seen before. Why would the bottom look like anything we've seen before? This is a new paradigm in that sense, that the market structure has really kind of diverged from what we are used to in Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin doesn't go, negative 80% here, and I think that's a pretty good indication that moving forward, things are going to be a little bit more smooth sailing. And then we see, even though Suzu is, maybe it's psyops, but he's literally extremely fucking bearish now.
Is he?
He's asking about risk off trades and shit. I think he's more like global macro, and so therefore everything goes down. And he could be right. But at the same time, when I think about a super cycle, I think about it in the sense that we're in a condition to where we trade with a lower volatility. We trade more similarly to equities. It is obviously, look at Bitcoin, it is up only over time. And, why you want to make fun of a Bitcoin permabull, when you look at the market structure of Bitcoin, if just by being perma-bullish alone on Bitcoin over the last 10 years, you're probably a millionaire. And I don't think being a perma-bear would do that for you. You'd be penniless, right? So obviously longer term, the idea here is to be a Bitcoin bull. But I can imagine a future to where, maybe the next top is 80K, and, then the next bottom ends up being 30, and then the next top is 120, and then, the next bottom ends up being 60. Just having less aggressive price swings and a more, I guess, stable, longer term growth without these boom and bust cycles in my opinion, that's the best thing that could possibly happen to crypto right now, because that would open the door for so much money and building and innovation. I think that would allow crypto to truly thrive and reach its potential. More so than continuing to have huge bubble and then
look, it makes sense that would be the natural progression, because early on you just have gamblers, dark web, early need to know kind of hackery type people that are like, oh, Bitcoin, and it's going to be extremely volatile, which is what we saw. I mean, before I was here, but that's what happened. And even through 2017, fairly unsophisticated crowd pushing the market up, or possibly some whales pushing it into that December futures event. But whatever it was, this should reflect the price action of equities more as more of the players in equities join, right? If we could just summarize it with that, I mean, as they join, they're going to play their games. They're going to use their algos. They're going to put in their rules, whatever it is. So, as we see that,
derivatives,
like
derivatives, you're going to get much more of like tighter, longer periods of tight, low volatility, and then it's also just going to take more and more to actually move things out of balance. Like if you think about the market in terms of
the liquidity has gotten insane.
Right. These are auction markets, right? You auction higher to find sellers, you auction lower to find buyers. And when they're in balance, you get more distributive properties of the market, which is like you get that bell curve, right? And it's kind of like what we're in right now, partially because of low volume, and a lot because like you can't find an imbalance. Like there's no catalyst to drive it one way or the other, and like the general market consensus is to like sell when this happens as volatility comes in, and it's why you're seeing things go lower right now. So
yeah, now Low to High just made an interesting comment. He said we moved a little too fast this bull run, and I just want to say on that note, that is the nature of speculative markets, especially, is that we're going to go too far too fast. So he's like, oh, Bitcoin should be worth 500K, and we're going to run it up to 65 before perhaps that was baked in, and then we're going to run way too far too fast to the downside, and you're going to get that sort of extension either way. So I agree with you, but that's also why a lot of things are sell the news, because you get this product that's coming up, people are so pumped, they speculate it all the way to the moon, and then when it actually goes live, it's like, oh wait, it's really cool, but the users aren't there yet. It's going to have to come back down, and then it goes harder than it should. And that's where you can really find deals if you have a plan, right? If you, like Dan's saying, I don't care where I have to buy it as long as the trend is back up and I know that we're heading up. Other people might like, and I know you do this too, Dan, you pick up the 88.6s on things. You're just like, I don't really care, when
as long as that thing is not total vapor.
Yeah.
Like, and it has, I know it has a community behind it, and I know it will pick up market beta. That 80% retrace is gold. Like getting those on things like I would, I'd give a pinky finger to have it happen on Solana, but like, is it going to happen? Probably not.
I know, I've been watching that too.
Yeah,
it's like right here. I mean, it would have to go a long way down. I saw someone talking about picking it up at 13. Like that would be like a $7 Solana, which we haven't had since all the way back in Feb. One sec, real quick, guys. There's a trade happening right now that was in our Discord this morning. It's not really like a come to our Discord to copy our trades type vibe, but we do have a lot of really good ideas floating through there from a lot of the members that are there as well. And TVK has been floating around the last couple of weeks. I saw it on Twitter, mentioned a few times as like an NFT play. Obviously, tons of really interesting buy volume coming up. If you just zoom out to the daily, it's a little messy with my chart, but you can see this buy volume coming in. So that kind of caught my eye. And on our ideas section on TradingView, you can go and find this setup kind of explained. Wow. And it broke out today, actually like 10 minutes ago on stream. So that's exciting. Pick some up today.
What is that?
Around 10. It's the Terra Virtua. It's kind of like, I don't know, NFT marketplace. I clicked through their website a little bit today, but it's got that buy volume. And it's obviously echoing this NFT sentiment right now. So what do they have that's their own, that's, maybe it's organic, like kind of like, yes, they have users, or it's just catching a really nice echo, but I couldn't resist.
There's also NFTX, which had a massive spike in buy volume. I got in the position, and, when I determined that Ethereum was probably going to mark down, I ended up cutting it. But still, volume is I think that it's the strongest signal there is, and literally you've got, I mean, this huge volume anomaly here.
It looks ready.
The chart looks really similar to that before it really took off. So
yeah, it looks ready. Actually, Ledger Status was on the show in January. He was our first guest this year, and he was talking about this thing at like $24, right? Like when it just launched. So he got me into a bag. I picked up less than I should have, but I did have a nice trade there. I think he got in and got out, and now we're back down actually at the 88.6 stand. So this is a level we like to look at. Let's take a look here what the 88.6 is.
Oh, it's against ETH, right?
Oh yeah, this one is against ETH. But yeah, it's like sitting just below the 88.6. Let's check out the dollar chart.
But that looks good though.
TX. Yeah, so I wouldn't mind
that
a couple
looks
of
something
NFT
that like
plays.
you get that within you get that one little kind of volume candle, and
I mean, this is
exactly it.
That a lot of the VCs were super interested in, because one of the biggest issues in NFTs is the liquidity problem, and this was a solution for that liquidity problem. So it's something that I think, and really, when we're talking about crypto punks and stuff like that, right? You've got your super, and I still don't understand that shit, and I don't pretend that I do, but you've got your super desirable punks, right? You've got the ones that people are paying 100 Ethereum for, and there's a lot of clout, attached to that and associated with it. But you've also got your run-of-the-mill floor punk, and there's several of these that fit that criteria. Now, things like NFTX have the ability to provide liquidity on that floor. So, like, let's say I just wanted to come in, and I own floor punks, and I wanted to sell them, but maybe there's not a lot of demand for them. Well, there are liquidity providers in NFTX that will, acquire my floor punk, and then allow other people to purchase that floor punk from a bonding curve, which is super interesting.
Yeah, I've been bullish on it since we spoke, Ledger and I, and this is not the cleanest chart. There's a whole bunch of pairs. I'm sure there's a few liquidity pools, it looks like, but this is what you look for, right? You want to get something that's super bullish, drag it into the reload zone, consolidate for a while, and then just waiting until it shows signs of breaking out and some volume to boot. Yeah. So
I don't know if there's still bullish. It was Delphi that was super, super bullish on this. And, of course, everybody has hits and misses, but, I mean, they've had some absolutely epic hits. So I don't think this is something to sleep on.
Guys, I would just, if it's just the one thing that has worked for me forever. Like, it's you just keep a small amount of cash if you can't help yourself, for finding these things, that these tokens that have come off into that 80+% zone, and are generally good projects that are well funded, that have communities around them, that have actively traded tokens. And I'm telling you, like, these are the best trades. These are the highest probability trades.
Yeah, and if you want to wait...
It's what got me into Bitcoin, to be honest, in 2015. Like, Bitcoin went from like $1,300 to $156, and like in September 2015, it was the exact setup, and I was like, okay, there's good optionality here, and that was like the first time I started buying Bitcoin. Yeah,
and I guess the one thing I've learned in the last year, I'd say I've really picked up on is not getting stuck. Like, okay, I'm just going to pick it up at the 88.6. I'm going to set an alert for that. I'm going to watch it, because they often just sit down there. I mean, if NFTX, if you picked it up in May, you've just been sitting on a dead bag for 2 months. But if you look at it today and you say, oh, look, now the volume's picking up. It looks like the sellers are done. The bulls are taking over. And look at that. It's starting to break out. And now I have to waste a lot less time waiting for it to move, and I can keep that cash in play doing other things. So this actually does have all the bits. I'm going to add it to my little list. If I don't write this down, because I don't have the time to rewatch these streams anymore. I used to rewatch just to like get the ideas from them again. But NFTX is going on my list. Now, I've got to talk about ID, guys, because in the chat, people are going wild. They're asking, are you the guy that was talking about ID because it's pumping? And Oracle just announced a partnership with ID, or ID announced it with Oracle. Not a small fry in the bigger, grander picture, and basically says that they've partnered to enable their clients, including large banks and institutions, the ability to verify customers' credentials and transfer them to the blockchain, basically giving them access to crypto cross-chain or cross-border transactions, DeFi. This is exactly what Everest was designed to do. And my broader thesis in the market is that, regulations, KYC, all that stuff's coming. I don't think it's a secret. It's on its
100%.
way. And so who's going to be the glue? Who's going to have the credentials, the licensing to bring those companies in, or to take existing DeFi companies and sort of legitimize them? And that's what Everest has built. And that's why we put out that video a month and a half ago, because I was like, holy shit, I don't know how long this will take. I don't know what price is going to do. I'm not here to make predictions, but I want to be long on whoever's building the plumbing for that. And nice to see a little pickup off the lows here today. This
isn't like an ID subscribes to Java update type of partnership with Oracle or whatever. This is like the real deal.
Well, I'd have to read it. I mean, I literally found out about it on stream, but I have seen Oracle partnerships. They cause a pump and then they fall flat. Like, to me, this isn't like, moon tomorrow, but it is a really nice bit of news. Oracle, for those who don't know.
They're actually using Oracle for their foundation's back office.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They're paying Oracle $3 million a year. You actually should be long Oracle.
Partnership with Amazon. We use AWS.
That was 2017. Classic. You know what, Rob? My biggest bag just woke up today. I'd like to have a little fun with it.
Give this guy a little love for fun.
Maybe a little fun would be selling the RIP,
Yeah.
Dude,
no, I'm not selling this RIP, man. And what do you mean? I held through this shit just to sell the first bounce? Like, no.
Sometimes it'd be like that,
No, I mean, I did literally last night as we trickled lower into we finally broke even the 20-cent lows. We were just trickling into 16 cents. I was like, should I have taken some off here, even as I was talking about how bullish I was, just because that's like a 66% drop still? But nah, it's a thesis play. It's a long-term play. And I want new highs. I want all the marbles on this one.
Want to see that thing build value.
I wrote it off. I haven't even looked at the price. Like, someone had to tell me today, like, ID's pumping. I was like, wouldn't know. It's in my PTSD section of my portfolio. But it was a 6 to 9 month play. Now it's an 18-month play.
Where can we pick that up? Where can
it's on Uniswap.
Yeah, 1 inch, bro.
Your squad. Your Uniswap favorite place to trade, Mr. US. You can. Civic, I wouldn't pick it up today.
Civic's in that game too. Not that. In full disclosure, I am not long any Civic, but
they're killing it too. Like, I don't know what they're doing today, but Civic had a good run this year. And actually, I drew that comparison as well when I was introducing ID, because Civic.
Yeah, we've been talking to them quite a bit. Just about the technology that they've created for on-chain KYC.
I'd be look at their USD chart. I mean, I'd be curious what they've done, because I was bullish on them back in whenever they launched. I think it was 2017, right, or 2018. And I remember getting super bullish about that idea. Digital identity. I think there was another one. TKY was built on Neo. It pretty much died, I think. But I think. That was a comparison I was drawing, is like, how long until people realize that ID is like an undervalued Civic.
This is going to be a sector. There is no doubt about it.
Digital identity. I mean, it's a strong use case, but I think it's the thing that got me excited. And I mean, this is all in the video you guys can check out here. Just kidding. I'm not going to embed that, but we do have one on our YouTube, and it's the fact that they can build the identity layer on any chain and plan to, whatever you want, Polygon, Solana, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain. They can underpin every or any project on those that want to be legit. And I think what we're going to see, and I'm sure you guys agree with this too, is the idea that regulated platforms are going to get the biggest inflows of capital, right? The largest amounts of capital that are waiting outside of crypto are waiting for that safety, that whatever that means, that regulation, the legitimacy. And I think once that starts to happen, it'll put pressure on a lot of the sort of on the fence platforms or projects that were trying to avoid the KYC, because at this point you almost lose users having forced KYC. I think that's going to be a shift, a big shift we're going to see.
You have this thing of as you cross over, and it may actually bifurcate the market. I don't know yet, but this idea that a lot of these large traditional finance players, as they come in, market makers, hedge funds, asset managers, whatever it is, that can really move the market. And you want these guys here, because when they're on the same side as you, it's very helpful, right? And but in order for them to participate in these decentralized networks, they need to know that the tokens that they're purchasing off that network or participating in are not coming from a high risk wallet, and having that way of at least anonymously to the network KYCing a wallet and knowing that it's been verified, it checks a big box for them, and you will see those types of market participants migrate to those types of networks. So
yeah, and with the software they built, it's synonymous, right? So you can stay anonymous and have a wallet that is verified while not necessarily giving up your passport
Correct.
to every little thing. And that's one of the things that stood out to me. So nice day for the ID holders, which I'm sure a lot of them are watching right now.
Dude, I'm super happy for you. I was just busting balls.
I know, I'm just fucking with you. Busting you right back.
Hey, we can all bust.
Robbie, the sweetest guy, he actually felt guilty about busting.
Yeah.
We've known each other long enough to bust.
I'll bust you right back, Robbie. Robbie had something to say though. What do you got?
I did have something to say. I mentioned a smart fundamental guy earlier, Jeff Dorman, and I wanted to just bring up something that I went dumpster diving in my Ethereum, my Etherscan wallet watch lists the other day after I saw Axie's pump, and Dorman was all over that. But they own quite a bit of Chili's, CHZ, and I know that
that one killed it.
They fucking killed it.
That shit was such a monster.
Could be an echo play. I know that they traded that one well. They bought it. They sold it. They bought it. They still own it.
Wow, you don't follow him? That's rude. He even follows you.
Does he?
Yeah, okay, I was about to say.
Does he?
Rectify that.
Oh, Jeff, I'm sorry, man. I know. I just saw that. I was like, I thought I was following him.
Oh, wow, awkward.
I've talked to him in Telegram, but okay. Oh well.
Yeah, they're great.
You got to follow Jeff, especially you guys. If you're listening and you want to follow a guy that's no BS, just pure info and knowledge. I mean, Jeff he's one of my favorites. Anything he says is from a point of research.
The funny thing is, all you guys do, and you like all his shit, so he shows up on my timeline. I didn't even know I wasn't following him.
He's a smart dude.
He's a really smart dude. He's an ex, he's an ex-Citadel trader who has brought, a different viewpoint to crypto markets. He actually takes a lot of fundamental positions on things. He looks at data in a different way than what the norm is, which gives him a little bit of a differentiation. And he has been right a ridiculous amount of times.
Something Jeff is really interested in that I was interested in as well at the right level is WNXM. That's wrapped NXM, and there's so many different reasons for that. But betting on insurance in the DeFi space is honestly it's one of the biggest verticals in traditional finance. I mean, insurance is needed across the world. NXM has existed within the bounds of regulatory I don't even know how to put this. They've been regulated from the beginning. They've required KYC. WNXM is the non-KYC variant. It trades at a discount to NXM. But the thing is that discount, I believe, over time will evaporate. It just will. And buying WNXM is literally a bet on DeFi as a whole. And I don't know if there's a better way to bet on DeFi succeeding than buying something like WNXM. We'll go into it in further detail on Church, and we'll talk about the bonding curve, why it's trading at a discount, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, there's a floor, there's a minimum collateralization ratio in the bonding curve, and it can't be sold below that level. It's been below that level for a while now. Very, very interesting project.
I remember you mentioned it last summer. You kind of were building a basket of insurance plays. I've got an exciting one that's still in sort of like a
we're talking long tail here,
Yeah, it's a seed round right now. I'm looking at the private in the fall. I can talk about it later, but I don't have a bag yet.
If DeFi,
there's some really good insurance
level,
coming.
If DeFi really succeeds, and we're 2 years from now we're in some kind of future where we have $500 billion and value locked in DeFi, I mean something like this is going to be astronomically higher than it is now, because all these institutions, and they're interacting with smart contracts, and they have all these counterparty risks. they're going to want their shit insured, even if it's very low risk. They're not going to come in and say, hey, I really need that extra 3% yield, so I'm not going to insure my shit. You know, they're going to be getting this insurance, and that's only going to drive revenue to NXM.
Yeah, there's you just reminded me, Lossless actually fits the bill for one of these coins that's kind of come out at the wrong time and has done nothing but dump. We talked about it on stream last week on Hero Labs Live. And so if you have these coins, basically every new project that launched in the last 2 months has just gone nothing but down. And there's a lot of juice there, where there's a lot of good projects lost in the mix of shit that launched around that time, because we were in this kind of parabolic, you know, new projects coming out, copycats and bullshit. But I think down along those lows, there's going to be some interesting opportunities. Now, before I talk about this, I'll just say I do have a bag from presale. So be aware of that. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's an alternative look at sort of insurance. It's the idea of like, it's embedded in a smart contract. So if shit goes wrong, you have a committee which is made up of various parties that aren't necessarily all related and connected, and they can basically vote on a solution. So you could take back a hack, you could take back an exploit. So it's not the same as insurance, like, okay, let the hackers have their money, but we'll pay you back. It's literally like, no, we're going to wind back this whole friggin' smart contract or whatever.
And not because he has a bag from presale.
Oh, no, it's none of that. I get paranoid when I talk about something that I invested in, right? I don't give a shit. Like,
I'm totally fucking.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean? Like, it always sounds so cheesy now when you say that and somebody's like, oh, you're shilling. I don't care. But we're talking about insurance, and you made me think that chain swap shit last week. I actually sent it to the team here because I was like, guys, you should be using this for PR. Like, chain swap, blank token, like 20 different tokens all got totally rinsed because something happened over at chain swap. I don't even know what that is, but the hacker got millions of dollars of tokens of all these different projects. And I mean, that sucks. It destroyed, I'll use blank as an example. It destroyed their token. It's at like 4 cents, and they didn't even get exploited. They did all their audits, right? So now you have these third-party systems that are essentially getting exploited and screwing over projects. And I was like, guys, like, get out there and market this. Like, if they had embedded this protocol, which is not quite ready to go live, is what they told me, but you know, in theory, you'd have a vote between maybe like some of the guys working at Certix, like some legit trustworthy individuals, and if they all agree that this was an exploit, they can roll it back and say, fuck you, hackers. So I don't know. It's an alternative kind of way to insure, I think, is also something I'm bullish on as a concept. There's ID. I just stare at that chart all day. But what do you got, Rob? You mentioned Chili's. Did you have an idea there? I mean, it's sitting in a reload zone within a reload zone off the lows.
My idea was that I fucking missed Dorman's call on Axie, and I went dumpster diving in his wallet and saw this potential echo pump. I don't know. I don't know if this Chili's fan network does anything, but it's...
Well, they partnered with Binance or were purchased by Binance. I forget which one it was. But I was charting it way back here. I had no idea I was going to do that.
That makes me feel even better.
Yeah, no, they got a nice something from Binance. I think it was a purchase or like a partnership, but it's legit. And then, you know, and then went crazy. I forget where I was charting it, but I had a trade set up somewhere.
So is there the NFT tie-in? Is this, I know this is games like sport, this is football clubs and fan and creator shit.
Yeah, it's like a sports NFT at the surface level. We can take a look here.
I don't know. I don't think it's
Chili's.
It's gonna have
sounds spicy.
That Axie does, but you never know.
Follow the volume. That's why I longed TVK today. I was just like, fuck it. You know, something will echo Axies. Let's find an NFT play, and then, like, you know, if the volume's coming in. World's leading blockchain, sports and entertainment.
You try to find that echo, and what if Axies just fucking completely shits the bed with Giardia now? And then, like, trying to get in.
It will eventually. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, haha, I don't have a bag, so I'm going to call tops on Axis. But, like, it'll go too far. It always does. And some poor suckers will get in at the most parabolic moment, and they'll suffer through a little drawdown. That's the way it's going to go. Even if user base keeps growing and all that, it's just gravity, man. It's just going to be, you know, it'll climb the stairs to some degree if it just isn't up only. But for what it's worth, it's not at any levels. Like, if it hits 40 on some kind of crazy move at this chaos, oh baby, oh Oh, baby. I'll be looking for a little snipe short, but I'd actually rather long it, but it's a bit of a crowded trade right now, so we'll see. But I think the Echo is the play. It's where's the next play to earn, because that's not like a one-off, There's going to be a lot of different things using.
Somebody mentioned Degenum. How do you pronounce that? He mentioned that the Animoca brand's game coins are all pumping.
Really?
Yeah.
What are those there? Animoca brands.
Animoca is a game company, like a more of a large indie. I wouldn't necessarily call them like a AAA or anything. But
Australia, right?
yeah. What's the guy's name? Brendan
Fraser?
Brendan Fraser. Yes.
You know what's ironic about sand? I don't know if this is actually irony. I get told all the time, it's not ironic, you idiot. That's something else. But you know what's interesting about sand, Rob, is that this came out around when we were bag holding ETHverse.
Yeah.
And it was basically like the same thing. It was like the idea, right? Well, look at sand and look at ETHverse.
Well, look at Sand. It was like a Binance partner too. I mean,
it was a Binance sandbox, yeah.
Look who the
ETH doesn't even trade anymore.
supporters and
Robbie Young. Sorry, I don't know where I was getting Brandon. But Robbie Young is CEO of Animoca.
Well, I'd love that. Like if Animoca, if we can find, a place to get a list of some of these game tokens, I think there's no reason not to throw a few shekels on the old trend.
Fucking A right.
This is a nice level, actually. Sand just broke out of a previous high, so that, I mean, there's a nice continuation level there. If we can get a retest of that in the coming week, I'll be keeping an eye on that daily flip level. I guess it's a little higher on the 4 hour. But the sky is the limit.
Dorman is also in, I think, Rally, RLY, Band.
Band?
Just digging back into my discussions.
Yeah, well, Band is at the 88.6 as well.
Lido is that LDO?
Lido? That's the one.
Arweave, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. I mean, look at, there's Band. Band's at your favorite level, Dan. That's more of an Oracle play. Kind of caught the Link echo, but it looks like it'll have another day in the sun someday.
I'm so fucking bullish over the next 2 years on Pith. It's
dude, can you have tokens for that? Because I keep hearing about it and I want some. But
Band will make you dance.
I can't.
They just closed. I think soon.
Okay.
If I was a guessing man.
Yeah, every time I hear about Pith, I'm like, cool, where can I invest? And I was having trouble. It's one of those though. It's a very tier 1 investment round.
We're going to be composing with them. We're using their Oracle quite a bit in Hero Network.
You would be lucky, RT. It's a non-US type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk to your people. Call my people. We'll do lunch.
Yeah.
See if we can make something happen.
What else we got? There's no token for Pith yet. Yeah,
no,
I was just looking at yesterday. I was like, how the fuck do I buy this shit? But I don't know if there ever will be. Even
there will be, bro.
Oh, there will be.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a super long tail play on DeFi as well.
Big time.
Agreed. The best in the business. You got
best in the business, regulated from the jump,
jump, Susquehanna, CTC.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Arweave is coming into a nice level. This is one that came on my radar last summer, actually.
Look at that Space Needle, for fuck's sake.
That's Bittrex, and this is a USD equivalent chart, so I wouldn't put too much in
there. Oh, yeah. No, but it has...
This is one when it... Where's it at in the pullback? Peak to valley?
Ooh, it's about 75%.
Yeah, I'm going to be bidding this one for the record.
Okay. Yeah, 70%. So this is a DCA bag of yours. I like that. It's now that you're mentioning Dorman too, and a few, one of the things I always learn over the years is not to overthink things. Like if I have a group of people who I know over time are just really smart doing their thing, just copy them sometimes. Not copy trade, but copy invest. That's what I've learned anyways.
Yeah, RT, just out of curiosity, we're looking at this and it's 70% down from highs. We're looking at that September wave and then, subsequent drawdown in bear market. What was the percent drawdown from highs then? Just to compare, what we're seeing now.
Like right here?
from September to whatever those lows were in maybe November or December of 2020.
Yeah, well, about 80%, same kind of thing, right? If we get the log out, or just zoom in a bit, it's the same thing, guys. Like, this is the fun part, right? We're just rinse and repeat. You go way, way up. You look like you're gonna die. Nope, just in the reload zone.
That's the thing. I mean, even right now, that looks like a little blip, right, on the chart. But back in the day, excluding future price action, if we expanded that and we rescaled it and we dragged it up, it would look the exact same as what we're seeing right now. And that's interesting. Like, we definitely did have this DeFi summer bubble, but I think that this very clearly demonstrates, we had 80% retracements then. And guess what? We made new highs. I am interested in buying a lot of this DeFi stuff, very soon.
100% agree.
The only way to do this, I feel like, because the odds of me, even myself with, more crypto experience than almost anybody, buying the bottom on some of these assets are astronomically low. So the only way to proceed here is to identify what you want to buy right now. I've had so much time to finally just, being in a largely cash position with a clear head, do a little bit of research, find out where the value is, find out what I want to buy. And the best way to dollar cost average are on days like yesterday, right? Yesterday, the dollar looked like it was breaking out. We had equities pulling back. Oh my God, the nuke is here. Like, the fear was in the air. Like, you could just smell it. And the level of fear, was totally out of proportion to the percentage move that we experienced in crypto.
It's almost because of where and when it happened, right? It was like, oh no.
If you're going to DCA though, the likelihood is that, you're going to have, especially in a bear market, you're going to have multiple days where you can just smell the fear in the air, right? If you are going to DCA, which I still do believe that is the only way to get good average entries on these projects with a high certainty, with a high degree of reliability, do it on the days where people are just screaming,
throwing up. Yeah. Well, you can feel it in your gut.
Put yourself in a really, really good position.
Well, if they're doing it during the US or Europe Open, then wait till to Asia Pac wakes up and starts trading, and then do it, because there's generally this like follow on that will get piled into and
open the next session.
Liquidations will happen. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then you just start scaling those things. Like, you're going to be on sides in those trades. You are going to be right on those.
Because being underwater is not fun, right? And that's why
it's not supposed to be, right?
It's not supposed to be. A lot of people won't DCA. It doesn't matter how many people say DCA, DCA, DCA. They have to be the guy that.
I suck at it. Yeah, I admit
what happens is you end up. Well, a lot of people, and to be honest, that first week I was largely cash. It was a very uncomfortable position to have. Because you do feel like that if something happens, you're gonna miss out. And that's a shitty feeling, right? We're all dopamine addicts. We're all chasing this pumps. I mean,
we all think in 5 years it's going to look like an anthill.
But even then, I would never fucking look at crypto with a 5-year, time horizon. It's just, that's too far out for me to predict,
Yeah.
But at the same time, is DeFi going to bounce? Yes. Is DeFi going to make all-time highs? I don't know. But right now, especially if Ethereum goes to 1,600, I'm going to start deploying some of the cash there. And here's the thing, I'm not going to blow my whole wad. And let's say that is the exact bottom, and I don't blow my whole wad there. Well, guess what? As the trend continues to confirm and we continue to look bullish and I continue averaging, eventually I'm going to say, holy shit, I minimized the amount of time I was underwater. I minimized the amount I was underwater. And oh my God, maybe I gave up a little bit of profit, for my sanity, but it would be totally fucking worth it. If Ethereum goes to 800 after that and drags everything fucking down with it, hey, I'm going to deploy some more cash here. Even then, that's not an all-in type thing. There's very few situations I think that warrant all-in. And I think Rob was saying, or Dan earlier, and this is my biggest mistake during the last bull run, I didn't have that cash. I had enough at my disposal, enough assets under my control to where I should have had a large cash position, just because
for shopping.
For shopping, to buy these dips. That first reversion trade off of that monster dump, people made a 2x in a day's time. That was fucking insanity. Me, I didn't have that opportunity. The only thing I could do was sell the bounce. I couldn't buy it. I couldn't make up for what I lost. I was just sitting there with my dick in my hands. With nothing to do. You
can take one lesson from, the rat poison Warren Buffett. Like, you go back and just look at 2008, and pretty much the entire banking system was on the brink of Armageddon. And this is one guy that had cash and bailed everybody out. Like, there is, the end of the day, like, having something on the sidelines for that rainy day will be the difference of extra zeros in your net worth over years to come.
Like through the next bit. Yeah. And
because you're gonna it's unless you think this is going to zero and you're supremely convinced, like, it's beyond that. Like, it's here. This is all here. Like, we're here. We're merging with the real world at this point. Like, these are opportunities that you will see. They will it'll be there for a hot minute and then it'll be gone. And like, you want a DCA in those areas. You don't want a DCA from highs all the way down. Like, you need to get it when nobody wants it, and then when everybody fucking wants it and they don't stop wanting it, and you see the signs on the wall, like, you shave it off, and then you just go through the cycle
average
again.
Out. That's the thing. I mean, long term, look, crypto is going to do all the work for you. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to call the cycles here. The only thing you have to do is survive and protect your downside. Like I said, my biggest mistake was not having a large cash position, even at the top, because I was too greedy. Greed is a hell of a drug. If I had, and granted, I'm in a much better position than the vast majority of people, because when I panicked, pretty early. And I said, hey, this fucking looks bad. I've seen this before. Am I massively drawn down? Yeah, but I'm just going to accept it is what it is, right? I can't do anything about it. How do I move forward from here? If you just survive in crypto and try to, survive with as much capital as you can between all of these cycles, no matter how long, small, short, high or low they go, crypto is going to do the rest of the fucking work for you. This is easy mode, literally fucking easy mode. Every cycle, try to have a little bit more, try to manage that downside. And, 10 years from now, maybe you're not going to get as rich as fast as you wanted or whatever, but
you never will.
You're never going to end up hating yourself.
You'll always see a better trade if you look, and if you'll always see a worse trade. I mean, I'm really glad you brought that up, Messi, because when you and Rob were talking earlier, and we were kind of all over the place with, like, maybe it's a longer cycle, maybe it's a shorter cycle, and I just go back to what Rob said last week, which is like, nobody knows. Nobody knows. The smartest people in the world with the most money in the world, they don't know. But they're placing positions, they're placing, asymmetric bets as they see them. And so when I look at all this and I hear you guys talking today and I just see these charts and I just think, this is why I think it's important to just have a plan. And that plan should include, during times like this, and I'm going to stick to Arweave here. And I'm glad you guys brought this up because this was on my radar last year and I totally, I missed the rally and I was like, fuck it, I'll buy it later.
This is a coin that's held, by the way,
this is where I want to buy it.
It is a very intelligent development team. It is held by the right venture teams. This thing is not going ventures anywhere. It is going to become a part of the crypto, world that we're going to live in. So, well,
and it's crazy because most people watching, they probably never heard of it. I mean, I don't think I heard about it once during the bull run last year. It was kind of like being whispered in certain circles of mine, and then it ran, 700%, but it still never caught any memeage or any front page stuff. So, but the point being is, I don't know how much lower Bitcoin, ETH want to go if they want to stop here and go back up. But I do know, and after talking with you guys today, I've kind of convinced myself that I would be well served, I think, by sliding in 1% and 2% of my cash here and there over the next couple of weeks, and getting serious about shopping with conviction. I think the problem is, and this is what a lot of people struggle with, including myself in the past, is you get down to a level on a coin you're bullish on and you just buy too much. You know, you say, I'm going to DCA here, but you buy too much. And in the time that you've done that, you've now locked up a significant amount of your cash and something else starts moving, or an entire new sector like NFTs
Being
start
in cash
moving.
hurts.
And then you use too much of your cash too soon. And so you start to want to sell. Maybe it goes down further. You're like, oh, now this is really hurting. So I'm thinking out loud here, but also for anyone listening, like 1%, 2%, like small bites, nibbles, baby bites, you know, and then you don't really care about it. You don't worry about it. And then I'll go sit. If I want to day trade, I can look at my futures account if I want to catch the flavor of the week. But do I want to have a nice little position in things like NFTX, Arweave, whatever else, some of these other ones we talked about today? Yeah. And I don't want to miss them, you know, forget about it. And then like next month I'm looking at it, it's $30 and I'm like, oh, like, you know, it's very easy to fall asleep right now in the market, maybe for the longer term. So as we get closer to the top of the hour, the second hour, I think we should switch back over to the studio here, guys. If you like what we did here today, yeah, hit us with some likes, show some love, maybe throw a sub on there if you haven't already, and some notifications, because Shitcoin Church is coming back on, and it's intentionally recorded at certain random times of the week to make sure you have that.
Shitcoin Church. Like, don't expect me. Like, it's not going to be what you're used to. I'm not going to be in there shilling bags and shit, you know. But one thing that I am going to do is we're going to do research live while we're on there. We're gonna because Rob was talking about on-chain analytics. I think that's a super component of research. It always has been for me. We're going to dig back into the Nansen. We're going to start looking for the shit that is going to be bought. And, you know, one of the most interesting things about this on-chain stuff is you literally get the opportunity to glimpse at what the smart money is doing. So when I'm looking at something and I think that I'm being smart money, it always serves as good confirmation when I see other guys with big bankrolls and they think the same thing as me. And look, that information is literally public. It's out there for you. So come by tomorrow. Look, I don't have an exact fucking time for you. I'm not very good with that kind of stuff, but we are going to do it early afternoon. I'd say around the same time we did this, and we're just going to be doing fucking research, and that's it.
He's doing research.
He's doing research.
Well,
don't be taking.
And I'm running Hxro Labs live tomorrow. I switched it from Friday this week.
When are you doing that so I don't conflict with you?
Yeah, that's at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay,
that's scheduled.
That's at 3, then I will try to do Shitcoin Church at 1, and we'll run
Okay.
for an hour, and you guys can just go straight to Hxro Labs live after that for your taste of hopium.
Well, that's good, actually, because I might watch yours, and then whatever you research, you find some nice shit, and then I'll go chart it.
Yeah, you can watch mine, and then you can talk shit and tell everybody why I'm wrong. And
yeah. So now that you're done with that euphoric bear, come on over to Hxro Labs Live, where we're spotting the reversals.
You guys haven't seen Euphoria yet. If we do dump down to wherever, I will show up on DeltaFi in the ape costume next time, and I will
with your $100 Aave buys.
Yeah, with my $100 Aave.
Look,
buy.
man, I have a lot of alerts right below lows here saying, buy this, buy that at 88.6s. So if we do break, I'll be ready. But I would much rather we just reverse and have more fun. But that's just me. The market's going to do whatever the hell it wants. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us today on DeltaFi. And we got the full panel. Hopefully get you all back.
Come on, guys. Come on. Hit the thumbs up
Wednesday.
button. Like we were here for 2 hours just slaving away, for your pleasure. Like
cooking
it would be very much appreciated.
I know it's always awkward when you get like 138 viewers and like 60 likes, and they're like, yeah.
Come on, guys.
It's all good though. At the end of the day, that's all I got. I got nothing.
We're gonna give some hyperlinks to Jeff Dorman because we really gave him some shouts. That's the homie.
Yeah, we did. Are we paid Jeff Dorman shills? Maybe find out on the next episode.
I own Jeff Dorman token. Full disclosure.
Full disclosure. We bought all of his tokens on
BitCloud, baby. Yeah. Or Rally. Well, Rally is like a big.
We're seed investors and Jeff Dorman on BitCloud.
What's Cloud doing today? I saw that it was up a little bit off the lows.
I'm checking on chain. It does look like Random Task is dumping some of his Jeff Dorman on you. So.
Oh yeah. Hey, Clout is up 5% today, guys. I don't know. 100 feels like a safe level, but I'm hoping 100 doesn't break. Let's put it that way. It's been a fun ride down. Okay, guys. Have a wonderful day. Whatever you do, until next time, always play from a position of strength. Take care.
There you go.